Hello and welcome to another episode of the weekly Winedown. Cheers, another vacation edition.
And we've got a beautiful Chardonnay.
Don't ask us what type.
Not sure where, but Damien got this from Aquabar. So we can ask him in a second, but cheers.
It's perfect for watching the sunset.
Perfect.
All right, so today
Drum roll.
we are talking about, it's more of an inner energy focus, anabolic versus catabolic energy, and how to move out of catabolic and into anabolic. If you remember last week, we talked about more of the outer energy approach to this with the sympathetic and parasympathetic.
Exactly, and how you can balance your energy from the outer aspect, from things that you're involved in, and really tracking it through HRV, resting heart rate, max heart rate, sleep quality, and the 7 factors that ultimately truly impact that outer energy.
And now we'll be talking about the inner energy piece of it. So there are 2 main types of energy, and I know we've talked about this a couple of times before, but quick reminder. So anabolic energy is non-stress related energy. So anabolic energy is how you may be showing up in a normal state when things are going well for you.
And think also parasympathetic.
Parasympathetic, yep. Catabolic is stress related energy. So think of that feeling of powerlessness, that feeling of stress, that feeling of anxiety, that feeling of conflict. That is a lot, those are all things associated with catabolic energy.
And also think sympathetic.
So when we think about these types of energy, there's a couple different types of energy that fall into each one. So let's start with catabolic. Catabolic there's 2 main types of energy that fall into catabolic. There's a level 1 energy, which is much more of a feeling of powerlessness. It's heavy self-ego is present. I'm a loser. I'm never going to do this well enough. I'm never going to be able to do this the way that it needs to be done. I. A lot of negative statements that start with I. Level 2 is much more conflict related energy. So that's, he can never do this. She can never do that. I'm so much better than that person. They're not good enough. A lot of conflict, because the end result in level 2 energy is that the other person loses so that you can win. So when we're in this state, based on all the things I've been describing already, you can tell there's a lot of stress focused in those areas. Now, the question is how to move out of those into more of an anabolic state. Of course, there's a whole range of anabolic energies, and we'll go into those in another weekly Winedown. But what we really want to focus on today is how to move out of that catabolic state, because, everybody knows that when you're in that type of a state, it feels like crap.
And it also increases that sympathetic state within our body, thus increasing the issues that we feel from a health standpoint. Lack of sleep, more irritability, more frustration. And so we start to see the balance between the inner and the outer energies.
Exactly. So a couple of tips and tricks as to how to move out of this. First and foremost is awareness. Having awareness that you're in this state. Without that, really there's no way to move forward from. So when you're in this state, one of the biggest things that I tell clients is to pause. Pause, take a deep breath. Always going back to your breath is one of the strongest things that you can do to reconnect to yourself, to your body, and to make sure that, all right, this is not the end all be all. This is not this conflict or this feeling that I'm in. It's not the only thing that exists. So that's the second thing. Third thing is to know that you are at choice. You are at choice to decide how you want to take action next. Now, oftentimes it's not the easiest thing if, let's say, for example, the flight attendant is not allowing you to get on a flight for some reason. Of course, we've even been through this
That may have
ourselves.
happened to us.
Try to get into Canada during a global pandemic. The flight attendant is not allowing you to get on a flight. There is heavy catabolic energy present. Lots of stress, lots of anxiety, lots of fear, honestly, and that's what motivates this. So what did you do in that situation?
A lot of it comes back to, I believe what you're getting to with this third one is that sense of faith, that sense of belief, that sense of inevitability, that what will happen, not because this is the state that we're in, but because it's supposed to happen.
Absolutely.
And that automatically allows you to take that sense of ego, that sense of responsibility, that sense of control right out of it, and allows you just to simply be and go from that sympathetic to parasympathetic, but more importantly here, from that catabolic to anabolic.
And Justin's exactly right. When you ultimately, when you have that faith that there is a greater purpose to things, that is actually, once you get to that highest level of consciousness, the lowest level of judgment. So I could sit here and say to you, okay, the way you get from catabolic to anabolic is to be more conscious and have less judgment. But the steps to actually do that is to, 1, have self-awareness, 2, pause, 3, understand that you are at choice, and 4, know that there is a greater purpose and something greater exists. So the next time you find yourself in a stressful state, try to practice those 4 steps. Just practice it, because this life that we're in is really our playground to figure out what tips and tricks you want to use. So maybe try practicing it and just see what happens.
And notice how fast you also go from that sympathetic to parasympathetic state as you track it in your wearable. So next time we're going into those anabolic energies, just be sure to tune back in. Go own it.
Go own it. Cheers.